Hey everyone, it's me, David Chen, and I'm here with @JoyOfNapping. We just had a chance to see Cats, the movie directed by Tom Hooper.
We bargained with each other that I always want to go to these sort of fancy dine-in cinemas. And so the deal was we would go to the fancy dine-in cinema. And because if you're going to have to watch Cats, maybe you might as well have like food served to you. Because the fancy cinema is so expensive and because nobody wants to see Cats, as a result, we were literally the only people in this screening on the Saturday after Christmas.
It's true.
Which should theoretically be like a pretty good holiday movie-going time. So it was a singular experience because the movie was unreal and because we could exclaim throughout it without worrying that we were bothering anybody else.
It's true. It's true. So for that reason alone, it was a great movie experience.
Yes. If you go see it, you probably will also be the only person in your theater.
It's just completely baffling. You know, the thing is completely baffling. The primary thing that's confusing is just the look of it, right? Like there's so many little inconsistencies to how things look. It's really the uncanny people are saying there's this thing called the uncanny valley, right? The uncanny valley is this thing where like the closer a robot gets to looking human, the like more convincing it is, and then at some point it becomes so close but not quite that it goes into this uncanny valley where you're like,
where it's like eerie.
It's actually off-putting, right?
Yeah.
This movie is the uncanny valley of cat, right? Like instead of robot, it's like a cat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it goes to this, like, it's like, oh, okay, it's looking like a cat, and then, like, whoop, like, because it sometimes comes so close to looking like a cat, but not quite, it's in the uncanny valley of cat.
I did not view it that way.
Yeah, tell me how you viewed it.
I found the cat portrayal choices to be just completely mystifying.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, they have this very realistic-ish looking CG fur all over their bodies, all the actors, but then their faces are fairly human, but just with whiskers added, and then their ears are shifted up top.
And they have human
hands and human feet. And occasionally they wear human shoes.
And the thing that's really kind of at times upsetting is that some of them have human clothes.
Yes.
So when you're watching one of these cats with human clothes, you're like, oh, that's like a human dressed like a cat with clothes on. But then sometimes they take off the clothes, right? And then they're just naked cats. So then you're looking like at a naked-esque human, and your mind's like thinking about that.
And these are like really tight cat suits.
They're super form-fitting, right?
Yeah, and these people are all in like great shape. So you can see like every muscle underneath there. And it's so human. It reminds you more of a human than if they were to have just worn a puffy cat suit, which I would have preferred. I mean, I think the really good way to do this would have just to do animation and have them maybe move in human ways.
You could do animation, or you could do just humans with suits on.
Yeah.
And then it's just, okay, I'm looking at humans with suits.
Yes.
I'm not looking at some in-between of like
the
an
CG.
animated, the CG animated cat versus like a human person. They chose a very challenging path for themselves. It's just weird. It's weird and off-putting and very sexual at times, I think.
Extremely.
Yeah, I think that just like that fundamental aesthetic decision kind of looms over the entire enterprise and makes it just very unsettling to watch.
The original musical is the longest running musical, I think, in Broadway history, or at least at some point it was. And yet it is really nothing but a series of different kinds of cats introduced to you in sequence. And then there's kind of like a big dance-off to go to kitty cat heaven. And then the one who's obviously the person who should go, or cat who should go, gets picked. And that is the whole musical. It is bananas to me that they even tried to make it into a story, and then to turn it into the movie they added even more plot and a protagonist, which I really resented. As a person who at least enjoyed the songs in the past, I felt like they were actually taking away from it by the changes they made. But I still thought the plot would be incomprehensible and bizarre to a new viewer.
So we are broadcasting this live, and Ryan McQuaid77 in the chat room is asking, explain the plot, Dave. I bet you can't do it without getting frustrated. I guess here is my understanding of the plot of Cats, as perceived in the movie, the 2019 version of Cats directed by Tom Hooper. There are these things called jellicle cats that are special cats in some way. Maybe it's the fact that they can dance and sing, whatever. and they have this thing called a Jellicle ball that, as far as I can tell, happens like once a year or once every few years, where at the Jellicle ball, one of the old wizened cats, Old Deuteronomy, in this rendition played by Judi Dench, selects one of the cats to go to the Heaviside Layer, which is their version of cat heaven. It's where they don't need to experience like pain or suffering, or maybe they're reincarnated into another creature or something. Cat, yeah. And that's basically the whole movie. Is you see, I
feel like you've forgotten like a key plot
Oh
line.
well, there's this character called McCavity who like wants to like go to the Heaviside Layer for himself, and he's like using McCavity mystical powers to like take the cats away, and so that he alone
To a boat on the Thames.
So that he alone can be selected to go to the Heaviside Layer.
Winner by default.
Which, yeah, default, the best two words of the English language, which he, does not go the way that he plans, unfortunately.
Yeah,
in
no spoilers.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
The other thing that you forgot, because she is such a waste of space, is that there's a protagonist cat.
Yeah, it's true. There's like a new protagonist cat in this movie.
Basically, like Cats the musical, they break the fourth wall and they talk directly to the audience, and they're like, "Oh, hey, you might want to know about the Rum Tum Tugger, or like you might want to know about Mr. Mistopheles." And then there'll be like a song about
in the movie. They don't really.
They don't
break
do
the fourth
that.
wall,
So
right?
instead,
Yeah.
what they do is they have an audience surrogate, which is this white cat that seems to be a baby kitten or something. In 1930s London, I guess the way you got rid of a cat was to drive your car to downtown, have your cat in a bag, and then throw the bag onto the sidewalk.
Yes.
I don't know how old the cat is supposed to be, but I think she's supposed to be very pretty, and she has a very uncomfortable amount of sexual tension with like a lot of the other cats.
Yeah.
Who are of differing sort of ages. And so I really did not like that.
Also, like, odd is that Victoria kind of is like moving in cat-like motions like the entire movie.
Yeah, like she'd be like,
and
but she's also a ballerina, and while they're
Yeah.
all dancers, she's pretty self-consciously like sometimes doing ballet, and I
Yeah.
found that also very like bizarre and kind of a halfway in between, where not everyone decided to portray a cat in the same way, so it's like extremely inconsistent
it's
across.
extremely inconsistent, and I would say, speaking of like baffling and inconsistent things throughout the movie,
I know where you're going next.
right? The scale of the cats is just really confusing because sometimes they're like sized like normal cats. Like when you look at a cat, like a cat person in relation to the rest of their environment, it's like, oh, that's roughly what a cat would look like. But then sometimes they're like much smaller than a cat would look like. So there's a scene that takes place on a train station where they're all like dancing on this train rail, and it's like, a cat wouldn't look like they're like tiny. And then the size of other objects relative to the cats is also baffling. Like, for instance, there's like cockroaches who are also played by humans, and then mice. And I know I'm going to sound really weird as I'm describing this, but basically, like, imagine as though like the for a normal human, what the size of a mouse is compared to a normal human.
Yeah,
That's what the size of a mouse is compared to the human cats in the movie Cats, like the humans that play cats in the movie Cats.
Yes.
And that's just really disorienting, so between the CG and
what I found even more baffling is sometimes in the same shot, which you are positive is done on a set. So like no objects change size, no physical objects change size.
Yeah.
They'll do like one shot and then they'll do the reverse shot.
Yeah.
And it'll look
they
like
don't match. They don't match.
all of a sudden the person's like half as tall. I mean, the cat human. Or like they'll transition from the street and sneak in through a window. And then all of a sudden they're much, much, much tinier when they're in the house. And so it's just, it gives it a very ethereal quality. Like it's a very, very conceptual understanding of what it might be like to be
It's very
fantasy cat.
very abstract.
Yeah.
And there's just like, every now and then when you're like, I think I'm starting to get like a hold of what this movie is in my head. I think I'm starting to understand. It just throws a curveball at you, like, whoa! I didn't.
How much of that do you think is the musical versus the movie?
Let me give some examples. Okay, so like I'm starting to like the CG is weird, and like there's a visual there's a visual effect shot every single shot in this movie, which is like,
Sure.
I can't imagine how expensive that must have been, because like every cat has like little ears that move. It's very clearly visual effects, and they all have tails too. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this must have been a nightmare to animate. Like, hats off to all the people who worked on this. So every now and then I'm thinking like, okay, I think I get it. I think I understand what you're cooking up, movie. And then Rebel Wilson's cat unzips her cat suit.
Well,
Like,
she's a cat.
She's a cat.
So she unzips her own fur skin.
She unzips her fur skin, and then she's wearing a kind of outfit underneath it that's on top of another layer of fur skin.
Yes.
Basically. And that happens twice in this film. And that's just like, okay.
It's like Inception-like layers of cat suits.
And then so that's one example. Another example is, Idris Elba plays McCavity.
He is maybe the worst thing about this movie.
Well, so he kind of looks like kind of this hobo-ish character. He has like this heavy coat, and he's kind of like, he's got scars all over his faces, and he's like, he wants to win the Jellicle Ball. And then 2/3 of the way through the movie, he like throws off his outfit, and so it's just naked Idris Elba with just cat fur on, and it's like, if it had just been naked Idris Elba the whole time, I'd be like, oh, okay, they're all naked cats. But then some of them were clothes, and then they like cast off the clothes. So then the only thing I can think of at that time is like, I'm looking at naked Idris Elba. Like, that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's not naked because he's just got cat fur all over him.
I have so many more of these.
Yeah, hit us.
Okay. So, we're going through like some of the famous like cats. The first 3 or 4 songs are pretty peppy. And then all of a sudden it gets really minor key and you're like, wait, what's going on? And because Jennifer Hudson's on the screen and I'm like, oh, this is the sad song about the super broken down, beat down cat who used to have a good life. So Grisabella, the glamour cat, is the song. And Jennifer Hudson is literally crying her way through this song. And I think it's actually quite a beautiful song in many ways.
Jennifer Hudson, in my opinion, is the best thing about this movie.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I think Taylor Swift is second.
Taylor Swift, really good.
Yeah.
Loved her song. Yeah.
But so all the other cats are like mean girling Grisabella the glamour cat. And so she slinks away. But everybody else in this movie is a dancer. And so the way they slink away is like in this very artful way. Yeah. But Grisabella literally crawls the way that I might crawl if I fell on the floor.
It's just like, wow, that's so... What an odd decision.
And she is, for some reason, dressed in sort of homeless rags, so it looks even less elegant when everyone else has these very self-conscious athletic movements. Another one is, I think the Old Deuteronomy song is actually one of the most beautiful songs.
Yeah.
Well, of all things, can it be really? And so like this mystical moment is happening and you're seeing someone appear through the fog.
Yeah.
And when Judi Dench appears.
Judi Dench plays Old Deuteronomy, right? And she appears through the fog. And what was your reaction?
She is wearing a giant fur coat, what looks like a puffy vest made of fake fur, and virtually no makeup. So she doesn't even look like she's in the same movie.
Judi Dench's makeup varies greatly from scene to scene, I find.
Yeah.
Sometimes her face is no makeup, sometimes it's very well done. And perhaps most baffling of all is she has human hands with a ring on her finger.
A wedding ring.
A wedding ring on her finger. And my understanding is that Tom Hooper like issued a patch to the movie and like uploaded like the new like copy of the movie where like it's like apparently they CG'd out her wedding ring and maybe she has cat handed, but we got the old version. That's how you can tell the difference is she's wearing a wedding ring. The sequence of events that had to occur for her to have a wedding ring in this movie, I'm just so curious about because she shows up on set. It's got to be at least an hour of makeup for probably 4 hours of makeup for every single one of the characters. And she's like, sorry, Tom, not going to take my ring off. So then he's like, oh, okay, fine. We'll
fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. Don't even wear like green screen gloves or anything like that. Just like, we'll fix it in post. And then there's tons of shots where it's in the shot. Like,
I think you counted it at least 4 times.
It's at least like half a dozen, if not a dozen shots of just like the ring, like clearly in the shot.
Well, I just feel like overall that character is supposed to be at a minimum sort of inspirational and ideally mystical, and like in fact just laughably terrible. Like I could not. By the way, it's a gender change. I don't think that's like particularly dwelled upon or
Old
frankly,
Deuteronomy used to be a male in the musical, right?
Yeah, I don't know that it's commented on, nor does it seem to matter. I think it works just as well for it to be Judi Dench.
Yeah. Well, the movie's so progressive in every other way. So, with the homeless black person cat needing to be saved by the newcomer white cat who has no skills.
Yeah, that was really not ideal. But I feel like the racial dynamics of this film are by far the least problematic part of it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, Judi Dench wearing her wedding ring, just like giving no Fs. Fascinating. Just like, what's the behind the scenes of that?
James Corden is a actually pretty decent looking cat at first. Again, because he's wearing clothes, it kind of masks the weirdness of the rendering. But then he starts eating tons of garbage, and it's like actively off-putting.
So James Corden shows up, and he's like, "I'm the fat cat. I like eating things," and he's wearing a tuxedo. And then at some point, he like takes off the tuxedo, so it's just naked James Corden cat, and it's like, well, why was he wearing the tuxedo in the first place?
Totally.
But his fur is kind of colored like a tuxedo, so it's like
you've seen a cat like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. But then why is he wearing the tuxedo in the first? Okay, so then they sing a song where he's like, haha, I like eating things, and he ends up in a garbage can. Just eating things out of the garbage.
Yes.
And it's like...
And then like throwing it to other cats, and they're all eating it like, oh my God, this is so delicious.
This is a amazing
And I actually
thing.
turned to Dave and I was like, do cats eat garbage? And I just don't know it because like I actually have never had a cat. So maybe that's a thing.
Maybe cats eat garbage all the time. I don't know. But
I want to say the original musical was set
guess
like
if you're a stray cat, like you'd probably don't have that many choices. But
yes. Are they stray cats? I don't get the sense that they're all stray cats.
I think they are. Isn't that what makes them jellicle?
No, because Jenny Annie Potts or whatever her name is, Jenny Annie Potts is definitely
the Rebel Wilson cat.
Yeah,
she's definitely domesticated,
as well as the two cats that sort of coordinate to get in trouble. I feel like they also live somewhere. Yeah,
Exploding Canary in the chat room also says, like, do cats eat cockroaches? I did not know that cats eat cockroaches.
I don't know that they.
Basically, this movie is.
But we watch Rebel Wilson eat multiple cockroaches.
90% of the things about cats that I know, I learned from this movie, I think is what I'm trying to communicate.
There's also the cat that sort of keeps the trains running, which is a whole song.
There's a cat that is a train conductor in this movie.
I think he's just sort of an integral part of the rail system.
Yeah, that's right.
So
in some way,
I thought the up-leveling of McCavity was another like huge problem I had. Old Deuteronomy, the wise one, is going to pick which cat is most deserving to go to kitty cat heaven this year. Because she doesn't pick sort of the mischievous McCavity, then he somehow vanishes her. And I think that really does happen. Like there is a little plot wrinkle like
Harry
that.
Potter style. He's just like, loop, you're gone.
Right. And then the magician, the magical Mr. Mistopheles cat, has to somehow bring her back. And it's like not explained at all like how any of this is possible, but that's fine.
One of the cats has magical powers.
Yes. Yeah. But they make that magic feel very literal in this movie by like having Idris Elba introduce McCavity from the beginning. There's like wanted posters with his face everywhere.
It felt very like Harry Potter.
Yes, he would like, zap people. And it's just like, well, what are the limits of these powers? And, when he like zaps everyone to take away all the competition, it's like, well, why couldn't he just, like do what is zapping people like literally his only skill? Which doesn't actually seem that great.
Yeah. McCavity's powers are very poorly defined in the film. I think you are pointing out a key flaw in the film.
But he is supported by a super great Taylor Swift number that explains him. 3/4 of the way through the movie.
I have to say the Taylor Swift. Yeah, okay. So the Taylor Swift number is like pretty solid.
Yeah.
And she does a great job in the movie. It's just weird to have a song introducing McCavity. Like her song introduces McCavity like.
We've seen him 6 times.
Here's who McCavity is, and it's like 20 minutes before the end of the film, but like he's been in the movie the whole time. So why did you put that song at the end of the movie? Like it just doesn't. Left and right, I'm just baffled by all the decisions.
How about this? They're in 1930s London. There is at least one human because there's a human that throws a cat out.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're like at Piccadilly Circus and they're Trafalgar Square and all these like famous London places. But then like the names of things are changed to like the Cat Hotel.
They're changed to be like cat-like.
Or the Milk Bar. And so even though they're at human scale, like you have to be tall enough to walk into the hotel.
So I think what you're saying is right that it's not like there's like a cat hotel and a cat Sony store and a cat Fortnum and Mason.
Right, that would be like 3 feet tall.
Yeah. It's like these are actually human sized in the world of the movie.
Yes,
but they're all renamed cat things.
And I don't think they're just renamed. Like there's a milk bar that Jason Derulo breaks into, and then everybody drinks from the milk. The milk geysers, very, very sexually.
Like
milk spurting everywhere.
So like if you think about Pixar's Cars, right? Like it's like everything that universe is completely baffling because it's like, why are there cars if they have doors? That means there's like humans that could go in. Like where are the humans?
Right.
But like at least it's consistent. Like everything is designed for cars. Right. Like it's the car airplane and the car block, and it's like, okay, there's troubling implications of that, but like at least it all like is a world that makes sense. But the Cats universe makes no sense. Like it's like completely
Also, you just like never see the people for some reason. There's a point where Victoria, the new white cat, breaks in and steals a bunch of jewelry and like tries on all this human jewelry. So like a ring fits on her paw, which also like how a ring is very small. Like a cat paw does not. Like she wears it as a bracelet.
She wears it as a bracelet, right? Yeah.
And then she wears an earring on her ear. I mean, I guess that might actually make sense. But like, where are the humans in all of this? I guess we hear a dog, although we only kind of see the dog. London just seems very, very uninhabited.
It's very empty.
And for some reason, the cats have stolen a boat on the Thames, which is the netherworld where Macavity sort of sends them to as a holding place.
Many of the cats wear like furs, like think of it like a person in a cat suit wearing like a fur coat, and it's like, what is the fur made out of? Because it looks like it's cat fur, right? So it's like, is it the equivalent of like if you're a human wearing a human skin on yourself? Like these are the questions that I have after watching Cats that I won't be able to get out of my mind. The movie is a disaster, and like that is tragic, because there's so many person hours that went into this. It goes into any movie, and specifically this one. It just looks like so much hard work went into it, and I just feel so bad for all the artists who like who aren't like Taylor Swift or Jennifer Hudson or Idris Elba, who like those people have like long careers that like are going to continue, and like this will be like a blip on the radar. But there's other artists who are like, this is like one of the only
girl who's like a newcomer who was cast as the White Cat.
One of the only movies they've ever been in, or one of the few movies they've been in, and I just feel like they clearly have talent, in terms of acting or physicality or singing, and I just hope they get another chance because this movie's doing really badly right now. It's destined to become a cult classic. But it's certainly like has been ferociously attacked by critics, and with good cause. All right, folks. I'm David Chen. You can find this person on Twitter @JoyOfNapping. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.